Let me give you a sense of how I ended up here. And I want to start with where I began. And as some of you may know, I have Iowa roots. I don't know if there are any Midwesterners here. I met at least one person who used to be in the Midwest, but originally was in Anchorage, Alaska. So I say coming to the Midwest from Anchorage that's probably a good move on somebody's part. But I'm a native of Imogene, Iowa, which is a little Irish Catholic farming town about an hour's drive from Omaha. And when I was growing up, I may be the only person you have ever met in life that went to a one-room rural school. When I was in kindergarten, there was one teacher, 9 grades, and maybe 17 or 18 students in the first school. Morning Star was the name of that school. And then eventually, when my parents moved to another farm, I went to a second rural school. And I look back on that with great fondness because in the rural school with one teacher and 9 grades, students who were in the first and second grade could listen in on what was going on in classes ahead of them, and the students who were in 7th and 8th could, at other times of the day, help the younger students. So I look back with great, great fondness for those experiences in the rural school. Then I went to a Catholic grade school for 3 years, onto a public high school in a town nearby. And then when I was in senior year of high school, I had thought off and on for years. Some of my earliest memories are of thinking about being a priest. But I was at a public high school, and I really didn't know quite how to go about the discussion of considering seminary education. The priest who had been pastor of our parish in Imogene for 40 years was ill with cancer during my senior year of high school. So there was no resident pastor. We had priests who filled in on the weekend. And so in my senior year in the springtime, not knowing what I was going to do, I decided I would go off to college. I went to Creighton U in Omaha, another Jesuit school, where I studied in the College of Arts and Sciences, but all the way along there were these thoughts of priesthood. And my link to priesthood had been through diocesan priests. But at Creighton, I met Jesuits. And so while I was at Creighton, and largely because of my roommate who got into all kinds of trouble, I got to know Jesuits quite well because we were trying to help my roommate, and Jesuits were trying to help him as well. And eventually, he got helped right out of school. But through my roommate, interestingly enough, I got to know members of the Jesuit order. And so in my second semester of freshman year, the issue for me was not whether I was going to come back to Creighton, but what was I going to do in regard to priesthood? Either be a diocesan priest for Des Moines, Iowa, the diocese headquartered in Des Moines, or this new interest, new calling, new desire to become a Jesuit.